It's hard to believe that the Persona series is turning 30 years old next year, and with so many new developments having happened these past few months, and with so much more to come in 2025, you better believe we've got a lot more Persona in store for us over the coming months. We're talking huge new updates pertaining to that much rumored Persona 4 remake, along with Atlus discussing the possibility of Persona 1 and 2 remakes, along with the latest news to hit Persona 5 The Phantom X, Persona 6 updates, and more. So if you'd like to be briefed on everything you'd ever want to know about the goings-on of Persona as we lead up to Persona's 30th anniversary next year, you are in the right place. Smash that like button if you're as excited as I am about these upcoming Persona games, and participate in my giveaway of the upcoming Clair Obscur Expedition 33 for what looks like an incredible turn-based RPG featuring deep mechanics, incredible visuals, and an engaging story. All details are linked in the description, but for now, let's get into the latest developments hitting that inevitable Persona 4 remake. With Persona 3 Reload shattering sales records for the series last year after becoming the fastest selling Persona game of all time, you'd better believe that Atlus is going to remake Persona 4 to reach gameplay and graphical parity with Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Royal, right? Even though Persona 4 Golden is still an incredible game to this day, there are some clear improvements that Atlus can make to polish the game even further. And thanks to two big new developments, the writing is on the wall for this upcoming Persona 4 remake. In a post from Shihoko Hirata, the vocalist on many of Persona 4's bangers that brought us hits like Time to Make History, Reach Out to the Truth, and Heartbeat Heartbreak, to name but a few, we learned that the singer is back at the very same studio used to record most of the soundtracks that have graced the Persona games over the past decade and beyond. It is here at this recording studio where Hirata announced that she was recording for a new unannounced game, drawing a ton of attention from Persona fans, asking the singer if it was for the rumored Persona 4 remake. And while she didn't outright spill the beans and disclose what game she was recording for, Hirata liked a bunch of those comments asking about the Persona 4 remake. Now, this doesn't really amount for much, admittedly. She can't just announce then and there that a Persona 4 remake is in development, and even if this by chance wasn't regarding Persona 4 remake, she wouldn't announce an unannounced game and break her NDA. Even so, all of this going on with Shihoko Hirata at the recording studio isn't necessarily cast iron proof of a Persona 4 remake, but we gotta be real here. A Persona 4 remake is essentially inevitable at this point. Another indicator that Persona 4 is getting a remake is in the recent keychain plushes that Atlus is selling. Here is the new set of keychain plushes that Atlus revealed, including full sets of the cast of characters of both Persona 3 and Persona 5. Obviously, there is no Persona 4 set introduced here, other than just the Persona 4 protagonist, Yosuke, Chie, and Yukiko plushes that were introduced in the previous line. This glaring omission of the Persona 4 cast is very interesting, considering both Personas 3 and 5 are featured in this new line that will be releasing later this year in July 2025, making Atlus's exclusion of Persona 4 all the more glaring. Am I pulling at straws here? Maybe. But these two things, along with the older leaks from reliable insiders, plus the incredible sales milestones that Persona 3 Reload has been shattering for the series, makes it clear that we will be getting a remake of Persona 4 in due time. Sound off in the comments if you are looking forward to a Persona 4 remake, and while in one corner we have some ecstatic Persona 4 fans thrilled to catch a scent of Chie and her insatiable lust for beef, in the other corner you have an increasingly deserted fanbase of the PS1 Persona games, 1, 2, and Eternal Punishment, who have been craving for some sort of love in resurrecting those often forgotten games. Insofar as potential remakes and remasters for the earlier games in the series, namely the PS1 games before the Persona series became much more popular with Persona 3 onwards, late last year we got some indication from Atlus that the company is interested in revisiting the older games in due time. In an interview with GameSpot, largely discussing the success of Persona 3 Reload, Persona producer Kazuhisa Wada responded to a question regarding plans for a remake of Personas 1 and 2, where the producer remarked, "It is not on my schedule right now." He concluded with, "I would like to do it someday." So, remakes of Personas 1 and 2 started running rampant shortly following the release of Persona 3 Reload, when now defunct yet still reliable insider Midori, now going by the name Ryan from the Bronx, remarked that remakes or remasters from Personas 1 and 2 exist at Atlus. Now, both Ryan's and Wada's statements leave us with very little to go on, other than the fact that while we may not see remasters or remakes of Persona 1 and the Persona 2 duology anytime soon, that Atlus is interested in seeing these games resurface in the future. I mean, think about it. Atlus just released a remake of Persona 3, and regardless of whether or not you enjoyed it, the game is the most successful Persona game yet, and since we're in an era where remakes and remasters are exceedingly common, remakes of Personas 1 and 2 are inevitable at this point. Looking back to 2 years ago when Atlus asked Persona and Shin Megami Tensei fans which games they'd like to see get remade, the Persona 2 duology, followed closely by Persona 1 and Persona 4, are at the top of the list following Persona 3. So Atlus not capitalizing on seeing these remakes come to fruition would be a big misstep. The Persona series is much more popular now than where it was when Persona 3 and Persona 4 released almost 2 decades ago, so remakes of Personas 1 and 2 just makes sense here to introduce even more people to these often forgotten games. I'm just curious to see how far Atlus would go in remaking these games, as every Persona game pre-Persona 3 is quite different from the more recent ones, so what kinds of changes here, if any, is what I'm most curious about going forward. So let me know in the comments what you'd like to see in a Persona 1 and Persona 2 remake. As these older games have a lot more in common with their Shin Megami Tensei origins, I mean, Persona is a spin-off franchise of the SMT series to begin with, more remasters of the Shin Megami Tensei franchise were making the rounds on social media last September when Atlus apparently added and then immediately removed achievements on Steam within the Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. Here are the now deleted achievements that were added to the title, and if any of you are familiar with the SMT series, you may notice that some of these achievements, especially those relating to the names Raido and Raiho, refer to some exceedingly rare and beloved PS2 Shin Megami Tensei titles, causing speculation that the duology of the Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Raido Kuzunoha vs. the Soulless Army and its sequel, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner 2 Raido Kuzunoha vs. King Abaddon, may get HD remasters or remakes at some point soon. Referring back to the Atlus Remake and Remaster survey, we see these Devil Summoner games coming in at number 5, so of course Atlus is well aware that there is considerable demand for these beloved games, and maybe, just maybe, these accidental achievement drops have something to do with these games seeing a remaster. Fingers tightly crossed here, as this is all just speculation, but seeing as last year's Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance is the fastest selling SMT game to date, just like the Persona series, I wouldn't be surprised to see Atlus return to remaking or remastering some of the older Shin Megami Tensei titles. Even before Midori removed themselves from social media and later appeared as Ryan from the Bronx, the insider claimed that a remaster title would be coming, a title removed from Shin Megami Tensei 5 since we got SMT 5 Vengeance. Now, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see these PS2 Devil Summoner games get remasters, because I know I certainly would. I never finished them back when they got released digitally on PSN for the PS3 back in 2014, but I would be thrilled to check out these games again should they receive a remaster. Getting back to Persona, Persona 5 The Phantom X has been enjoying some success in Asia, as the game can currently be played across iOS, Android, and Steam. While nothing was mentioned of a global release during Tokyo Game Show last year, we know from Persona content creator Faz and his reporting in July last year that the producers have confirmed plans for a global release, along with getting the game on console. Here on your screen are some excerpts from Faz regarding the producers' statements for a global release, so if you're waiting to get your hands on this game and you are not residing in East Asia, don't worry, as it is likely that players around the world will gain access to this free-to-play Persona 5 game at some point. If you'd like to follow the goings-on with Persona 5 The Phantom X and its global release plans, consult the link in the description, but current rumors point to the game launching globally sometime later this year or in 2026, in time for Persona's 30th anniversary. Finally, We have Persona 6, the game all of us are eagerly looking forward to. I have done so many videos on this game, detailing absolutely everything we know about it from Atlus themselves, along with the extensive years of leaks that have hit the 6th mainline title. But just know, Persona 6 is very much a thing, and we are more than likely going to get an official reveal of the game later this year for a likely release sometime next year in 2026 to truly punctuate the 30th anniversary of Persona, just like Persona 5 did the same for Persona's 20th anniversary in 2016. Let's jump into the most recent rumors regarding possible reveal timeframes, and as always when regarding rumors, just take all this with grains of salt, even when considering just how reliable some of these leakers have been in the past. Let's not waste any more time here. So, the insider who leaked Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Tactica ahead of their reveals, Midori, now known as Ryan from the Bronx on Twitter, late last year suggested that Persona 6 would likely get a reveal at a Switch 2 event. And while we officially got word of the Switch 2 earlier this year, another major event specifically for the Switch 2 is locked for April 2nd, so potentially Nintendo will showcase the likely impressive amount of third-party support coming to the new console at this showcase. Last year, Midori suggested that Persona 3 Reload would be heading to the Switch 2, and according to Insider Brazil over on Famiboards.com, he suggests that Metaphor ReFantazio, Atlus's latest JRPG, would be heading over to the Switch 2 as a launch window title. Whether or not Brazil or even Midori are correct with their claims here, it's incredibly likely that these two games will eventually make their way over to the Switch 2. Seeing that Persona 5 Royal, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 3 Portable are already on the Switch, and with Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor being absent on that platform, it is more than likely that these heavy hitters from 2024 will find a home on the Switch 2, considering how well re-releases of Personas 3 through 5 have sold on the Switch. What gets me curious about this pertains to the recent advertising rights that Atlus and Sega have had with Xbox, so Persona's Switch, pun intended, to Nintendo's Switch 2 event in April would be a little strange, but would also make sense. I mean, let's be real. These huge Atlus JRPGs have sold so much better on the Switch than they have on the Xbox consoles. And because the Switch 2 is likely going to be every bit as successful as the Switch 1, Sega and Atlus may be going with a new strategy here to advertise their upcoming juggernaut in Persona 6 at the upcoming Switch 2 event. And for those on PC and PS5, I wouldn't worry here, as Atlus has always released on the PlayStation platforms, and Steam speaks for itself. It is important to note that for both Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor ReFantazio, those games were first introduced at Summer Game Fest with advertising rights with the Xbox brand going forward for those titles. And while Persona 6 could still adhere to the now norm of Xbox marketing rights, I think that Persona 6 would get its proper reveal at a larger industry event like the upcoming Summer Game Fest this June, rather than the Nintendo Showcase in April, even though that could still remain a possibility. Regardless, Persona 6 is very likely to get revealed this year, and with Ryan from the Bronx late last year reporting that Persona 6 is essentially finished and has been moved into its localization phase, Atlus and Sega are likely to be gearing up for an official reveal of Persona 6 within the coming months. Whether at Nintendo's Switch 2 Direct in April or at Summer Game Fest this June, the reveal of Persona 6 is definitely right around the corner. Ramona, another Atlus insider who is closely associated to Ryan from the Bronx, in response to a question about Persona 6's release date, suggested that the game is, quote, heavily leaning towards 2025, end quote, although the user admits that they don't have anything that would completely nail that in. Another insider over on Reset Era by the username Head on the Block revealed last year that Persona 6 was a lock for 2025, stating that Atlus had even moved games around in order for the title to release in 2025. Now, Persona is celebrating its 30th anniversary next year in 2026, so maybe such a monolithic release in Persona 6 could be saved for next year's anniversary, but that's just complete speculation on my part here. I still believe we're locked for a 2025 reveal of Persona 6, but as for when the game actually releases, these insiders roughly agree that 2025 is the year for it, but I still think 2026 has just as much, if not more probability here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments when you think Persona 6 will get revealed and released. Okay, we've got Persona 4 Remake, remakes or remasters of Personas 1 and 2, more Shin Megami Tensei remakes or remasters, along with Persona 5 The Phantom X confirmed to be getting a global release either this year or next year. And we are on the precipice of Persona 6 getting officially revealed in a matter of months. If you don't think this is an awesome way to usher in the 30th anniversary of Persona, then I'm honestly unsure what else would make you happy, but we have a ton to look forward to in the coming months ahead, so let me know in the comments which games you are looking forward to most, and find me over in this video as we go over just about everything we currently know about Persona 6. That's all I've got for you in this one, my friends. I look forward to seeing you real soon in the next video.